I'm just trying to run the wiring to the headlights, indicators and side lights, and spotlights. Now I have two looms for that. First loom is this one down the bottom there. Terminates there at the moment. I've got to run the headlights from that, and the spotlights are also in that loom. They only come this side of the car, so I've got to run them to both the left and right hand side. So I've got to make another loom to go across underneath, probably underneath the radiator at this stage. I've got to find somewhere out of the way to put it. So that one's got to be connected up. I've then also got this loom here. This has got the indicators for the front, and it's also got coil, and this one is for the oil temperature light. So it will also run along the bottom here, so I've got to work out where I'm going to put connectors, and then I'll run separate wiring off into the guards and under the front of the car. So it's just going to take a bit of planning to work out where I'll run them, and then how I'll combine them into secondary looms. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. Until I get that done, I can't actually connect up the headlights. So a fair bit of work to do. Installing wiring always takes a fair degree of patience. The added difficulty that I have is that I'm actually making up new looms as I go. Now, had the two existing looms I made came to this side of the car and covered indicators, side lights, headlights, oil lights, coils and a whole range of other things. But from those main looms I've now made three separate looms. Some of them are only small, but you know, nevertheless they've still got to be made, cut and fitted. So one loom there, one small loom here, and with a longer, more complex loom here, which goes from this side of the car to the other. Now hopefully I've got the length of the wires right. I've cut them a little bit over length. Now I've got to go along and run them, tie them in and put the relevant fittings on them. So it's taken quite some time to cut the wire lengths and work out which wires went where. But I've now done all of that. It's handy if you make a list. I made a list here of wire colours, what they were for, where they were going, which looms would include which colours and so on. So you know, it's handy to do that, so you can double check to make sure you've got it right. Now hopefully I've got it right. The other thing I've got to be careful of when I'm running looms is to make sure I've got good earthing points, because and particularly things running to guards, it's no good putting earthing wires to guards, so I've got to run the earthing wires back to the chassis, and I will know that the chassis will be earthed to the battery. So rather than just tap into any bit of metal anywhere on the car, I'm running earthing wires back to the chassis itself, just to make sure that I've got good earths. So now, having cut the wires, it's now a stage of putting the fittings on the end and then running the looms and tying them in place. So this will also take quite some time. The looms are now all in place. This is the one for the passenger side. It's carrying a loom to the driver's side. One goes up into the guard. on the driver's side. Bit hard to see, but there's a loom down. Try and see through the camera. Down on there. There's a wire coming here from the loom on this side over here for a side light, and the other loom coming across the front of the car, which I'll just show in a second when I get under. Just pause. It's a bit cramped under here, but from the passenger side I've got the loom coming out here, which goes to the headlights and side lights, indicators on that side of the car. Loom continues across here. Earthing points again, I've earthed them to the chassis. The loom continues up in there into the guard for the lights, and also it spins off here and comes along under the mudguard, the bumper bar support here. This is the loom going to the indicators, and obviously there's the spotlights at the front. So this took quite a bit of time to get this in place, but it seems to be all reasonably tidy. And I'll just climb back up again. I'll just pause this. Okay, now everything's wired up on the front end. Just finished putting the headlights in, so they're all done. Everything is now ready to do a final test, but at this stage most of the wiring to the front end has been done.